Here we go. So the first thing that I want to talk about is this. EA officially announces a free-to-play battle royale for Battlefield 6. So anyone out there who knows that Battlefield 6 has some crazy hype around it. I think it's universally known that Battlefield is kind of doing everything right, which is the first time it's done that in a very long time. Battlefield usually hasn't been doing things right in recent years. However, Battlefield 6 has built hype. It's built kind of the name behind it again because it's reinventing its brand again. And most importantly, people are ready to start playing it again. And one of the biggest things that they just announced is there's going to be another battle royale. Now, this isn't the first battle royale Battlefield has made in the past. If we all remember that ass-a-roni fucking bullshit that was Firestorm, this is not the first battle royale that they have done. Now, there's a couple of concerns before I even start getting into the article. Because I think the article, if I remember correctly, I read it, I skimmed through it a little bit. It's not even really an article. It's just telling us that there's a battle royale. We don't know any details regarding the battle royale. We don't know anything like that. But one thing that I wanted to comment on is this. I have a few concerns. First concern is this. One of the biggest reasons why Call of Duty went to shit in the first place is because Warzone. I will always attribute the Call of Duty going to shit because of Warzone. They have stagnated their development and they've stagnated their ambition due to the fact that they've been playing on Warzone and promoting Warzone as much as they did. Warzone's a great game. Don't get me wrong. But Warzone is one of those games that should have stayed over there and Call of Duty should have been right here. They morphed them together, which was a big no-no. Took away development costs for the regular Call of Duties, took away money for Call of Duty, and most importantly, the amount of time that people spent on regular Call of Duties is now diminished because so many people are playing Warzone. I don't think that'll be a problem for Battlefield, seeing as how people probably already have a bad taste in their mouth due to Firebreak, which confuses me as to why they would commit to doing another battle royale after they already had a shitty battle royale. I think that a lot of people might have a disdain. But I will say there's also a positive to this. I think a lot of people are just happy that there's more Battlefield 6 news, and most importantly, there's more game modes for people to be able to play. I think that that's like a double-edged sword. It will only be good if it's not the main foundation of Battlefield 6. Exactly. And that's my biggest concern. As long as they keep it a side piece within Battlefield, just full on, you got your main chick right here, which is the amazing conquest and multiplayer that you guys have. And then you got a little over here. Maybe y'all participate. I'm going to stop that analogy right here. You got your side piece right here. And then all of a sudden that is, you got the main piece that you get seen out in public with, and then you got the side piece. I don't know. Black men don't cheat, so I can't finish this analogy. But the battle royale needs to stay as the secondary option within this game. If it becomes anything more than just a secondary game mode, I think that might be bad for Battlefield. This might be the only like bad news for Battlefield, which you would expect it to be good news. It's a new game mode. Everyone's like loving to play it and stuff like that. But there is concerns because it's like, once again, I'd rather them commit to playing, funding, and developing Battlefield for what it is. That's pretty much it. When it comes to live service games in the modern market, everything is so just day by day, where it's like you need to have as much content in your game as possible for your game to even survive in the modern market. And I think that it's a double-edged sword with the battle royale, because on one end you have another game mode, but also on the other end, now you're going to be battling to see whether or not you're going to add content for the multiplayer and the battle royale. That's essentially what happened with Firebreak back in the day. If I know a lot of people probably are starting to get to the points where they're probably too young to have played Firebreak, but it was not good. It was not good. So double-edged sword, keep an eye on this one. I will say Battlefield at the very least is like, this is the most hyped I've been for a Battlefield since Battlefield 1. Is what it is. I genuinely think that Battlefield has a very good chance to basically, I wouldn't necessarily say reinvent their name, because I think Battlefield they never went away. There was some hiccups, but I don't think they ever went away. Especially 2042, there was a big revitalization of 2042 towards the end of its life cycle. A lot of people liked that game, but I will say, I think that people are now going to start talking about Battlefield with reverence again, instead of talking about Battlefield as if it's like a laughing stock, if that makes any sense. They're going to start taking it seriously. So keep an eye out for Battlefield. I do think that, me personally, I'm copping this day one. It's an amazing game. It's absolutely an amazing game. Also, another rant that I want to say, people out there, for the love of God, when it comes to Battlefield, look at me in my eyes. I don't know how many times you niggas keep saying Call of Duty killer, Call of Duty killer, Call of Duty killer. How many games have we said have been the Call of Duty killer in the previous years, and they ended up dying? Stop calling this a Call of Duty killer. We've been calling Battlefield a Call of Duty killer since BF2. Just call it Battlefield. Let Call of Duty do its Peter Griffin collab. All right? Let Call of Duty do its Madam Web collab. All right? I wouldn't be surprised if they actually did that. Call of Duty and Madam Web. That's the first bundle to sell 0 fucking units, period. But my point still stands. Stop saying Call of Duty killer. Please. Please. Let Battlefield be Battlefield. And most importantly, let Call of Duty be fucking Call of Duty nowadays. That game is ass. But anyway, that's besides the point. Let's go to the next article. Let's go to the next article. So this is another one that I got a few Battlefield articles. In case you can't tell, I'm very excited about Battlefield. And this is one of the bigger ones that I wanted to talk about, not because it's Battlefield. Not because it's Battlefield, but because it's Nintendo. Let me go ahead and move my camera so y'all can see this. Let me move my camera so y'all can see this. It says, and I quote, "Don't expect Battlefield 6 to come out on Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I'm not going to read this entire article for you, but long story short, it essentially says Battlefield 6 will not be coming out on Nintendo Switch 2, and most importantly, they don't have any plans to release it on Nintendo Switch 2, period. So there's a couple of things that I want to talk about regarding this. First thing is, the Nintendo Switch 2 fucking sucks. I just want to lead with that. Secondly, I want to give some reason as to why I believe it sucks. And probably some concerns that more people should probably talk about. More people should probably talk about this. For starters, Battlefield 6, from what I've seen gameplay-wise, it's definitely an expansive game. It really is. It really is. It looks like a very difficult game to run, if that makes any sense. Let me do this. It looks like a very difficult game to run, and it looks like it would be probably pushing the boundaries of the current gen systems. The problem is, and I need everyone to put their thinking caps on right here, okay? I need everyone to put their thinking caps on so we can think about this together. Now, the Nintendo Switch 2, okay, just came out a few months ago, and I have more articles regarding it. It's one of the most popular and the fastest selling console of all time at this point. We have a console that the Joy-Cons are already having stick drift. The first couple of days after the console came out, people were sending them back to Nintendo because they had stick drift. The Joy-Cons were literally falling out. Okay. There were screen tears on the Nintendo Switch. The screen would just stop working. Okay. Nintendo basically openly admitted that they're overpricing their games because fuck you. You can pay for it. And now, the Nintendo Switch 2 cannot run modern games. Now, a lot of people would probably hear that and they'll go, well, technically, Poochie, you gotta understand, the Switch was never supposed to run modern games. The old Switch was. The old Switch was not supposed to run modern games. One of the highest selling points of the Switch 2 was that they were going to start collaborating with other games now instead of just Nintendo games. Battlefield 6 is just the average modern game. and they have openly said it can't run Battlefield 6. You guys bought an overpriced console whose entire promise, I think every single promise Nintendo was like giving you guys has now fallen on its face. There was an article last week, I'm pretty sure, I'm sick, so I can't really, time is fluffy, but there was an article literally last week saying that it was having a hard time running the new fucking Donkey Kong game. Donkey Kong. We are less than 2 months into the Switch 2's life cycle, and it already can't run modern games. Why is no one talking about this? What, like, this should be national gaming news that everyone is talking about. A console that came out 2 months ago, whose entire promise was that it wanted to be able to run modern games, cannot run modern games. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why is no one talking about this? This is stupid. It's absurd. And I find this very scary for a couple of reasons, which we will get into. I find this very scary. One of the reasons why I find it so scary is because despite all of the bullshit that Nintendo has basically done to you guys, the Switch 2 sells more than 6 million in 7 weeks since launch. Nintendo says has surpassed our expectations. So there's a couple of things that I want to talk about with that. First of all, like I wanted to say, you guys are liars. I'm just going to be blunt. Everyone who was out there saying that they wanted cheaper games, people couldn't afford. People were out here saying that they can't afford a PlayStation. The PlayStation Pro is too expensive. Like anyone who's ever complained about money within the gaming industry, they went out and got a Nintendo Switch. Weren't we all just arguing that we don't like expensive games? We don't like battle passes. We don't like companies that support horrible business practices. Nintendo is doing all of that. And it is now the most sold console ever. At least like timeline wise. This is the most sold console in the first two months. So where is all this uproar that we were having not too long ago, where we were like, why in the world would we spend more than $70 for games? I don't want to play a game that's below 60 FPS. If a game is below 60 FPS, I'm going to gouge my eyes out. I'm going to throw the fuck up. I don't like console exclusives. Console exclusives is the thing of the past. Genuinely, where did all of that uproar go? It's gone. Nintendo could spit in people's faces and literally be like, pay me for that. That's my saliva on you. Fuck you. That's my saliva. And people would literally be like, yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's my bad. That's my, how could I have thought differently? Thank you, Nintendo. Thank you, Nintendo. And then all of a sudden your console stops working because apparently they can just shut it off whenever they want. Either way, fuck Nintendo. I don't understand how people out there could support a company that's done everything that it's done. But that's besides the point. That's besides the point. And just in case they already do that to us, it sucks. Literally, Nintendo sucks. Nintendo sucks. And you want to know why? It gets worse. It gets worse, weird guy. Look at this.